Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials. Well, something's hit the fan. The supply chain's broken down and the supermarket shelves are all empty. There's a knock at your front door and someone's asking you for food. Are you going to give them any? And if so, what will you give them? Let's find out. I had a comment on a video a couple of weeks ago now, and it was the question being posed as to what would you do if somebody came knocking on your door asking for food during a something hit the fan scenario. And that's quite a huge topic really, and there's lots of debate on various prepping channels across YouTube and other social media as to whether you would or you wouldn't give somebody food, even down to family members. Would you or wouldn't you? And maybe that's a topic in itself for a future video. But the comment that I had, there was a bit of a conversation, and it was suggested that it might be beneficial to do a video on what would you give somebody, assuming that you did. Now, initially, that was a family of four, mum, dad and two kids, but that's big numbers to be giving away a week's worth of food. So I've cut that down to two people for 2 weeks, and I've kind of had a little look at that to try and decide what out of my long-term food stores would I give. Now, bear in mind, it is aimed at long-term food stores. The assumption is that there are no shops and you have what you have in your food storage, and you're going to give some of that away to these people to get them through this next week. So there's no fresh meat, no fresh vegetables, no fresh fruit. We are talking about items that you would have in your long-term food stores. And the reason that I actually picked up on this and have done a video is because there's a secondary part to this. If you were to sit down and take the time to think, what would you need to feed two people for a week, you can extrapolate that out, and you would know in your own mind how much food you needed to have a variety of different menus for different meals across a period of a week. And you can work out then what you need to actually store away to see you over a period of 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever your long-term food storage goals are. So there's a couple of different things here, apart from would you give somebody the food. There's a little bit of a look to see what kind of meals you can generate from long-term preps that you might have. And again, you can actually calculate out for yourself to see what you need to buy, because I suspect a lot of people think that they have more than they actually have when you try and make 3 meals a day out of it. So let's pop into the kitchen and we'll spread some stuff on the kitchen worktop and see what we've got. Okay, so I've had a stab at this and I've broken it into different meals of the day. So breakfast, a main meal, and then some lunchtime or filler meals. And I'll work through these in separate videos, all in order. But just to give you an idea, this is what we're looking at for a week's worth of food for two people. Now, on the one hand, it doesn't look like a great deal, but if it's coming out of your food stores, it's a lot. And bear in mind, there's no fresh produce in here, so there's no fresh vegetables, there's no fresh fruits, things like fresh milk, yogurts. There's no snacks in here like biscuits. This is essentially to get you through the essentials for a week. So I'll break these down into the different meals, and as I say, there will be a video showing you how to prepare at least one of these meals. But let's take a little look and see. Okay, so let's start with breakfast, the easiest of all of them to do. So I've got porridge oats, sultanas, golden syrup, and I'll show you what we do with those. in another video shortly. It is a quick whiz through. For main meals, we've got rice as an option, and we can have that with either fish. So we've got sardines, there's some chilli, beef chilli, and there's curry. So you've got 3 main meals there from the rice selection. I've got to move these out the way, otherwise you won't see them properly in the video. Main meals again, we've got a pasta option, and with the pasta we could have chicken in white sauce, or we could have meatballs in tomato sauce. So there's 2 more main meals, so we're up to 5 main meals already. And then finally for the main meals, we've got your traditional meat and 2 veg. So we've got tinned potatoes, tinned mixed vegetables, and then we can either have stewed steak, or we could have burgers. So that's our total 7 main meals there for the week. So moving on, we've now got lunch or snack infill meals, whatever you want to call them. We've got a bit of a selection going on here. So we've got some mashed potato. There's enough there for 2 meals for 2 people. So with that we could have my favourite beans and pork sausages. Seen that in lots of previous videos. So there's a couple of meals there, or lunches perhaps. And then for the remainder of the lunches, we've got a bit of a variety going on here. We've got ramen style noodles, so we've got another 4 meals there for 2 people. And with the noodles we could have, again my favourite, hot dog sausages. Alternatively we could have bacon grill, just cube that up, fry it and pop it in with the noodles, same with the hot dogs. And as a bit of a bonus really, there's a tin of corned beef there. You could have that with anything that you wanted really. So we've got again a week's worth of lunch or fill meals, and then finally, because I'm feeling generous, we've got 7 days worth of soup, different varieties: chicken and noodles, chicken and mushroom, tomato, carrot and lentil, pea and ham, oxtail, a couple of tins of oxtail there. And then to go with those, or indeed with anything, we've got some cream crackers, because bear in mind there is no fresh bread, or there wouldn't be for them. I would, because I'd make my own. But I'm not giving them fresh bread. So that's all of the meals for 7 days for 2 people. Breakfast, lunch and dinner, and perhaps the odd infill meal, because certainly the rice and pasta, there's more than 7 days worth there. But again, you'll see that in some video clips shortly. Then finally, just to top it all off, we've got a bag of sugar, 40 tea bags, and some dried powdered milk. There's enough powdered milk there to make 6 pints of milk, which should do 2 people for a week, I would have thought. God, I would hope so. And certainly enough sugar there to go with these. You could even pop that on your porridge if you wanted. So there we go. That's what I've put together. There will be numerous other things that people could say, oh, we're about bouillon or stock cubes or gravy granules, salt and pepper, all your different condiments. They could go down the route of, well, there's not much variety there. Well, to be fair, you've got 7 different main meals, certainly 7 different lunches and some snack meals. The only thing that might get a bit repetitive really is your breakfast for porridge, but at the end of the day, this is something hit the fan scenario. This is something that you're giving, of great value that you're giving, and it's something that is going to keep somebody alive for a week. Well, 2 people indeed alive for a week. So yes, there could be lots of other things that we could put in there, but I think there's a decent enough variety there, and it's certainly, in terms of calorific value and protein value, there's enough there. People aren't going to suffer from poor diet with what I've given out so far. So what we'll do, I'll get all of this put away, and then I'll go through individually a selection of the breakfast, the main meals. I don't think I need bother too much with the snack meals, because you know what noodles are, you know what soup is, you know how to cook those things. Tinned meat is tinned meat. The only thing that you're actually cooking per se is the mashed potato, but really all that is boiling some water and stirring it. So I don't think I need to go through the lunch or side meals. I'll just do breakfast, a couple of breakfast, a couple of main meals with the different staples out of your long-term stores, just so you get an idea of how to cook those. Well, here we are in the kitchen with the first of our meals for this feeding friends and family for a week. It's an extremely difficult video to do this, so please do bear with me as I run through this. It might well take forever for me to get all these little video clips together. But the first meal of the day is breakfast. So if I whiz these around a little bit so you can see what we've got. You'll have seen these before in lots of my long-term storage videos. We've got a kilogram bag of porridge oats. Now, depending where you get these are still very cheap, somewhere between 75 and 80 pence. So for the purposes of this, we'll call it 80 pence. There's half a kilo there of sultanas. They're about, well, they're actually 99 pence, so we'll call that a pound. And then we've got some golden syrup and we've got some water. Now, what I have on the counter here will actually feed 2 people for 10 days, which I think is pretty outstanding. So you've got 10 days worth of breakfasts. We will be doing this for a week, but you've got some surplus there. There's actually 10 days worth. So a week's worth of breakfasts for the grand princely sum of £2.80. I think that's pretty extremely good value, don't you? A week's worth of breakfasts, well, a week plus 10 days worth, for 2 people for £2.80. So I'll get all of these measured out and I'll tell you what the measurements are, and we'll get this cooked up. So I've measured out the rolled oats, the porridge oats, and the sultanas. Clearly I'm not measuring that out, I'm just going to put a squirt in. It is entirely to taste. Some people might not like golden syrup. Indeed, they might not like sultanas. But in something hit the fan, you're going to be grateful for whatever you can get. So you can either or, you can add golden syrup to your porridge, or you can add to your sultanas, or indeed, as I will, I'll actually add both. Now, as far as the oats are concerned, it's actually 50 grams per person, so I'm doing for 2, so there's 100 grams of the porridge oats there. The sultanas is 25 grams per person, so I've got 50 grams in there. And then I've got 600 millilitres. It's a pint, just slightly over a pint, but I can't cram it into a pint glass. 600 millilitres of cold water at this stage. In terms of calories for this, you've got per person 188 calories in that in the porridge, and then you've got another 80 calories in the sultanas. We'll ignore the syrup for now. So you're getting off to a good start. You're getting off to 260 calories just on that one serving of porridge for the morning. So I'll get myself the camera turned around so I can actually get cooking this. It is ever so straightforward. What I will do though, just for now, I'll just pop a little bit of water and I'll let those just soak for a while I'm cooking the porridge, and then we'll drain off the water and add it. So I'll spin the camera around and we'll get cooking the porridge. So I'll just turn the cooker on, got my pan, and I'll pop in our 100 grams of the porridge oats, and also pop in our 600 ml of water. Give it a quick stir around, and all we're literally doing is bringing that to the boil. I'll just pop in a little, literally a pinch of salt at the same time, just to add to that. So I'll pop the lid on, give that a minute or two while it comes to the boil, and then we'll move on to the next step. We're just waiting for that to come to the boil. It's not far off now because you can see it's starting to froth up. Do just keep giving this a stir. You don't want it to stick to the bottom. Now once this comes to the boil, all we're going to do is simmer it for 2 to 3 minutes. You'll see it gradually bulking up, and the volume of liquid will start to reduce. We're almost there now. It's literally just starting to come to the boil. Don't know if you'll see that on the video or not, but it is, trust me. You could use milk with this, but bearing in mind that we're potentially in a something hit the fan scenario. Now you can see that coming to the boil, you can probably hear it. And it's starting to really froth up. So I've just turned the heat down. Yeah, as I was saying, you could use milk for this if you wanted to, but if it's a something hit the fan scenario, where are you going to get your milk? I do have long life milk in cartons, and I have dried powdered milk, but call me selfish. If I'm going to give somebody a box with a week's worth of meals, I'm not going to give them my milk. So they're going to have to live with porridge with water, I'm afraid. So that's come to the boil. I'm just going to let that simmer now. I've turned the heat down. I'll just let that simmer for 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll just keep stirring it. As we get towards the end of the cooking time, I've drained the water off these sultanas. So just before I finish, I'll throw those in as well, so they can start to warm up a little bit and fill out a little bit more. But it is literally a couple of 3 minutes. We're talking speed here. So while I continue to stir this, I'll just pause the video and then I'll come back to you once it's ready. Well, we're just coming towards the end of it is almost 3 minutes. I'm just going to pop these sultanas in. Stray one there. Mix those in, and I'll just knock the heat off. And make sure that they're all mixed through. Everybody gets a fair portion of the sultanas. So the heat's off now. I'll literally just pop the lid on that and just let that sit just for a minute, and then we'll be ready for serving. Well, I just let that sit for it was probably closer to 2 minutes just to relax and to give those sultanas time to heat up. Not sure if you can see that or not, but that's how our porridge looks. So we'll pop this into a bowl. It is a generous portion for 2 people. You can see I've still got plenty in the pan there for the second person. And then we'll just give it a little squidge of golden syrup. And we're done. So there is our porridge with sultanas for breakfast. Well, that's our porridge. It only takes literally 5 or 6 minutes from start to finish once you've measured out your ingredients. And it is a hearty meal to start the day, and just adding the sultanas and or the golden syrup just makes it a little bit sweeter and a little bit more filling. So there we go, breakfast out of our long-term food stores. Bon appetit. Well, here we are back in the kitchen with another cooking video for the video I'm doing on the feeding your 2 people for 1 week. We're doing a main meal this time, and we're using something that's a huge staple for all preppers, which is this long grain rice. So, selection of different things that can go with this rice to make the meal. There's a couple of different meals in a can. Chicken curries. I've got a beef chilli, and I've got some fish, which is sardines. So any of these options could go with the rice to make the main meal. In terms of the rice, absolute bargain. This is 1 kilo bag of rice, which gives you 14 servings. So if you're feeding 2 people, it would give them 7 days worth of meal. But on our video we are going to be having some different options for the main meals. So in reality, this bag of rice is probably going to be the same as the porridge I did for breakfast, in that it's probably going to give you 10 days worth, because you'll be mixing and matching your meals. The calories on the rice aren't necessarily great. You're only really getting around about 150 calories per serving. These meals in a can, now allegedly, if you read the label, these say there are 2 servings in the can, so that's your 2 people. Personally, that's going to give you a pretty small meal, I would have thought. I'm pretty sure eat the whole contents of that in a single sitting. But that's what it says. It says 2 servings. So we've got 2 people. So again, heartless as it may sound, that's a meal for those 2 people. It won't be in reality, because I am going to give them other stuff as well. Same with the sardines. In terms of calories, all of these are pretty much the same, in that you're getting about 200 calories per serving, so per person. So in total, you're going to get 350 calories per person off this meal. So decision time, I'm going to go with beef chilli, I think, and I'll pop these others back into the cupboards. The only real cooking per se is the rice, because these you're literally just warming them through, you're not physically cooking them, it's just adding a bit of heat, whereas with the rice you do have to cook that. So I'm allowing 75 grams per person, so I'll be measuring out 150 grams of rice, and then I need another 175 ml of water per person, so that's 350 ml of rice. In cups, that's a cup of rice and near as damn it 2 cups of water. So I'll measure out my my rice and my water. I'll pop these back in the cupboard. I'll keep this out for now because I'll be warming that up to go with the rice once the rice is cooked, and I'll come back to you in a second. So first things first, I've just literally put the pan on full heat. I'm going to pop my water into the pan and I'm going to bring that to the boil. I'll just pop a little bit of salt in there. I'll bring that to the boil, and then once that is boiling I'll add the rice. So I'll come back to you in a moment once that water's boiled. Okay, so our water's come to the boil. Literally all I'm going to do is throw in the rice, give it a quick stir, pop the lid back on and turn the heat down very low. And we're going to simply leave that for 15 to 20 minutes as it sits there. I will check on it from time to time just to make sure the temperature's not too high, not too low. We literally just want it to be on the lowest possible simmer setting. And as I say, leave it for 15 to 20 minutes. So we'll let the clock tick past and I'll come back to you shortly. Well, the rice has been cooking away for 15 minutes now. It's on the lowest possible setting and it is literally just, well, it's more or less steaming itself. There's very little movement in the rice. It's not brimming and frothing, it's just very, very lightly bubbling. If you can see that in the video or not. I've not taken the lid off at all during that 15 minutes. So looking inside, it's not far away. It's time to get the chilli heated through. So I've popped that into a pan, gave the can a little quick rinse out with a tiny bit of water just to get the last bit out the can, because allegedly that is 2 servings, don't forget. So another 5 minutes and we should be done, and I'm going to be ready for plating up. Okay, so I've warmed through the chilli, the rice has had its 20 minutes. Moment of truth. If you feel the need, you can just give a little taste test on this and see if you think that the rice is firm enough or too soft. But actually that's fine. I am ready for this. So if you can see the rice in the pan there, it is nice and fluffy. It's not stuck together in a gloopy mass. So what I'm going to do, I can't dish up with that. I've got a little spoon here, so I'll spoon this out, just pop it onto the plate. So just so you can see how much there is, so that's a decent portion there, I think you would agree. And you can see I've still got half the pan. I'm hoping you can on this video. Can you see that or not see that? I don't know. It's hard to tell, but there is another serving in there, so I'll just pop that to one side. I'll use the spoon that I used for the rice to spoon out the chilli. Just get rid of that. So there's our chilli. I'll just pop this into the middle. Go on, one more for luck. And again, I don't know if you can see or not on there, but there is another serving still inside there. But in all honesty, I'm probably going to come back for seconds. So there we go. There's our chilli and rice main meal. So there we go. Before I tuck into this, one little last look for you. Beef chilli with rice, part of our feeding your 2 people for a week. This is a main meal, and I can't wait to get tucked into that and have a sneaking suspicion I'll be back for more, particularly of the chilli, because I haven't actually had lunch today. So there we go, chilli and rice. Bon appetit. So we're back in the kitchen again and continuing the video series on feeding 2 people for 1 week, and we're here with another main meal, and this time it's penne pasta. So again, as with rice, this is a very cheap long-term food store item. This bag of 500 grams, so half a kilo of penne pasta, it's actually only, well, it depends which shop you go to, but 26p, 30p. It's extremely cheap. And this one bag, the 500 grams, if you portion that out at 75 grams per person, that gives you 6 servings. So that's 3 meals for 2 people, as part of that, feeding them for a week. Traditionally, you would have this with some kind of tomato sauce, perhaps with some meat. I've previously used chicken soup. You can get quite chunky chicken soup now, so that would form a nice little meal, the pasta and the soup. But I keep 2 options in my long-term preps. I have chicken in a white sauce, so that's literally pieces of diced chicken in a sauce, and meatballs in tomato sauce. So I would use one of those 2, and if I was kind of struggling for something to go with it, then I could use the tomato sauce or the chicken soup as a sauce. So for today, I think I'll go with the chicken in white sauce, and I'll get these items put away. I'll measure out the pasta, and then I'll show you how to cook that. Okay, so I've weighed out 2 portions, 75 grams a portion, so I've got 150 grams of the penne pasta. I've got my tin of chicken in white sauce. I've just popped the pan on to boil. It's actually not too far off now. So as soon as that boils, literally all I'm going to do is pop the pasta in, and I'll just let that boil away for between 10 and 12 minutes. I'll just keep checking to see how firm the pasta is, and I get it to the right consistency for me. At which point I'll pop in the chicken in white sauce. So that's boiling away. I'll just throw that in. Just give it a little stir just to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom. Sometimes when you pop the pasta in, it attaches itself to the bottom. So that's it. We'll just boil that for the next 10 to 12 minutes. So as soon as that's done, I'll come back to you to show you the next bit. So that's had its 12 minutes now. I'll just quickly test and make sure that that's Yeah, that's fine. So all I'm going to do now is quickly throw this into a strainer, get the liquid off. Pop that back in the pan, and without putting it on the heat because it will stick, pour in our chicken in white sauce. I don't know if you can see that, there's some quite sizable chunks of chicken in this. It is really good. Some of these cans you can't even see the chicken, but this you clearly can. It's see if I can fish that out. There you go, look, big chunk of chicken. And waste not, want not. We'll just put a little bit of water in there just to get the last remnants of the sauce out. Might seem a bit tight, but every calorie counts when something hits the fan, so you don't want to lose any. Okay, that'll do. Give that a quick mix around, and then we'll get it back onto the pan, onto the hob, and I'll just turn that heat down a little bit. We don't want this boiling, we just want to heat through the chicken and the sauce. Make sure it's all combined. And we'll literally just give that a couple of minutes so it can heat through. Do keep stirring it though, because it will stick if you don't. And I'll come back to you. It is literally a couple of minutes once I'm convinced that this is all warmed through. Okay, that's had a couple of minutes just to make sure that the chicken and the sauce is warmed through. So we're ready for serving. So here we go. When you're doing this for two people, you're going to have to make sure that you share out the chicken pieces in a fair and equitable manner. So I have left plenty in there, including the chicken. So there we are. There's our chicken in white sauce with pasta. As you can see, that's quite a substantial meal. The chicken in white sauce with pasta. There's plenty left in the pan for a second portion. So that's another main meal. Bon appetit. So here we are back in the kitchen again. This is the last of the main meals, and essentially it's meat and two veg. So I've got a couple of cans of new potatoes, a couple of cans of mixed veg. So I'm having potatoes with vegetables. And then for the meat option, I can either have stewed steak in gravy, or I can have burgers. And equally, there's enough for two people here. The potatoes and veggies will break down into two portions. The stewed steak will break down into two portions. And there's 4 burgers in a can, so that's 2 portions of 2 burgers each. So what am I going to cook? I think I'll go with the burgers. So potatoes, mixed veg and burgers as this main meal. Well, unlike the rice and the pasta dishes, these are really dead quick and dead simple. Literally all we're doing is throwing the burgers into a large frying pan. Because there's 4 of them, it won't fit in my normal frying pan, so I've dragged out the big wok. So we'll just pop a little bit of oil in there and get some heat going. We're going to need the trusty spatula, and again the vegetables, they can all go straight into the same pan because they're all going to get spooned out. So we'll get cracking with that. Open the burgers, get those into the pan. If you read the instructions on the tin, it tells you that you can microwave these. Now I've tried these in a microwave and they're not great in a microwave, which is why I'm frying them. And I would be telling whoever I gave these to do the same, to actually fry them rather than to microwave them. I know microwaving is very convenient and simple and quick, but if you want a better taste, you are better off frying them. So potatoes and vegetables, exact same thing. These are just simply going to go into the pan as they are. Because all we're doing literally is warming these up. I'll just strain them once they've been warmed through. So there we go. How simple is that? I'll pop those on a low heat to be warming up. I think that's now ready. So I'll just quickly pop these in. Just separate them out into the individual burgers. Probably going to need a proper knife for that. And I'm guessing you can't see this on the camera, but when they come out the tin, they are clumped together rather than being separate. So there we go, I've separated those out. Get rid of the can. I'll give you a better look at those once they've started to fry off. So give me 5 minutes while I fry these off and heat the vegetables, and I'll come back to you. Okay, well these burgers are about done. And the potatoes and mixed vegetables are also busy boiling away, so they're about done as well. So I think we're about right for plating up. So I'll whiz the camera around and you can see me plate these up. Okay, first things first, let's get some burgers put out. That's onions in the gravy on here. So if I can't grab a few of those, because I do like onions. And then I'll just quickly drain the vegetables. Okay, so let's get some veggies on here. Potatoes. And the mixed vegetables. Now bear in mind that I normally make an onion gravy whenever I'm having stuff like this, but I haven't given our two people any gravy, so they're going to have to find their own, I'm afraid. I suspect when I finish this video I'll just pop a little bit of gravy on myself, but it isn't in the food that I'm giving these people, so they get what they get. But there you go, that's burgers with potatoes and mixed vegetables. Well, there we are, there's our burgers with potatoes and mixed vegetables from our preps. You can see that I've took the liberty of popping a bit of gravy on there. I didn't give gravy to the people with their food, but I'm eating this and it's in my house, so I've made some gravy. Bon appetit. Well, that's the different menus done for breakfast and evening meal. The only thing I haven't really done is the lunch meals, but honestly, it's ramen noodles, mashed potato that you pour boiling water on, and tinned meat. So there's no rocket science involved there. But I think there's a fair selection there. Yes, I agree that perhaps some condiments would have been nice in there, particularly since I put some gravy on those burgers myself. But at the end of the day, you're giving away your long-term stored foods, which you've given your blood, sweat and tears to accumulate. So really, you want to just give the basics. Were it me, I'd be tempted to say there's your bag of rice, bye. Would I? I don't know. But I've gone to a bit of time and effort to try and make it as varied as possible within the different meals. There's certainly a good selection there, and I don't think there's anything in there that people wouldn't be used to eating anyway, so there's no big surprises in there. But as usual, I'm sure you can let me know in the comment section if you did want to do another video about the pros and cons of giving food, or anything else for that matter, to people, and how you should respond to people coming to your door. Do let me know. It is kind of tied into your community that you would try and build if there was a major something hit the fan scenario. So it is worth doing, I think. But let me know what you think. If you do, I'll do one. If you don't, then I won't. Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. What do you think? Would you or wouldn't you give food away in a something hit the fan scenario? And if you did, what would you give? Is there anything different to what I've got in your long-term preps? Let me know in the comment section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.